So guys, I'm kind of bored, and I really did think the Warthunder update would be out by now, but sadly it looks like it's going to be the same week as the roadmap that they released for the economy changes, which can be a double-edged sword, but I mean, it is going to be very positive if the update does come out next week. Hopefully it does. But at the same time, I thought it was going to be this week. It's one of those just weird like Warthunder things where it feels like, the Warthunder update is very, very late, but to be honest, it's kind of still in this time period of when they should be releasing updates. So to help cure some of the boredom that I have, I'm basically just going to make a video about my thoughts about the update before it actually comes out, because I didn't really do any dev server video whenever it came to Warthunder itself, but I do feel like, especially now we have a bunch of the dev server finalized in a way, it's a great time to go over what my thoughts of the whole entire dev server was. Also, remember, if you like these types of videos, remember to like and sub to the channel. It is very much appreciated. And also, when the update does come out, we most likely will be streaming on Twitch again, where we'll be spading some of the new vehicles that come with the major update. So now on to the video. So it's kind of odd to actually start out this video because there really isn't anything within this major update kind of just screaming like, I need to play this now. But the things that are in this major update are actually pretty good in my opinion. Like there's a ton of stuff that I really want to play, just nothing that really screams, hey, this is something that's new and unique and all that sort of stuff that I want to play right then and there. But I guess we can start out with the big thing about this major update, which is the French naval is coming into the game. And I have like 2 words for that. Don't care. I literally don't care about the French Navy. Now on to the rest of this video. Now, at the end of the day, I feel like this is more of a update that's kind of focused on putting in more stuff to, enhance lineups. There's stuff like the BTRs, which are coming, which is a, fan favorite coming. And I guess we can start out with that. Maybe we'll just go down the line of what is coming with the new vehicles. And we'll talk about that, especially with the stuff whenever it comes to like AT gem changes as well. That's very interesting to the game. But I feel like this update encompasses a bunch of just minor changes that make a bunch of major changes to the game, which in my opinion can be a really good thing and can also be a very bad thing whenever it comes to the end of the day for Warthunder. So let's start out with some of the stuff from like America first. So the Americans are getting the M4 with the 90mm on it. So I don't really have high hopes for this thing. I believe the dev server BR was like 6.0. Maybe it was 6.3. I think it was 6.0. But I don't really think that thing is going to be that, powerful. I feel like it's just going to be the same thing as like a Jackson. That's at like 5.3 or 5.7, where, you don't really have armor, but you do have a very powerful gun. But you also got to remember that you're losing a stabilizer from the 76 and you're also losing the reload rate. So you're just a big target that's going to get pinned by everything if it stays at 6.0. And to be honest, I mean, I go up 0.3 of a BR and I can have a M18 Hellcat, the Super Hellcat, with the same gun and also just be able to be mobile around the map, which I think is a very big thing whenever you think about it. You also have the Bulldog that has, a Sabo around at 6.0. So I don't highly expect that thing to stay at 6.0. Maybe it goes down to 5.7. If it struggles at 5.7 even, probably go down to 5.3. And to be honest, I think 5.3 would probably be the BR that it should be at because it doesn't have Heat FS and doesn't have just a mega pinning round that could go through like Tiger 2s, for example. Now the M1 KVT, it's just going to be an M1 Abrams. It's basically just going to be, the premium version of a tech tree vehicle. We've had the Leopard 2A4, the Challenger. It seems like the best way to put in these premiums is just give pretty much a tech tree vehicle as a premium, because then you really can't scream pay to win because, basically you have the same exact thing. Now, this thing has its little, add-on armor or whatever that really doesn't do anything. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really good premium because, it doesn't really add anything to the game, but also gives people a taste of top tier and I guess, something that they can grind out the tech tree with. Now for Germany, you're getting your little rocket tank with the, I believe it's like the first version of the Rad Camp thingy mabobber. I don't even know what it's called. But it's basically a really interesting tank. It's going to be like the Ush from Sweden, but at the same time, you're going to have more rockets, I believe. And also, you could be able to go hull down and, maybe only get your rockets took out and you should be invincible. But we have to see how that goes. From what I tested on the dev server shooting that one, it seemed like I hit the rocket and ammo wrecked it. So not really high hopes for that thing. Panzer 38N, or the NA or whatever it is, TNA, whatever. Pretty cool little vehicle. It's going to be like a rank like 1. So be cool to play. Probably like 1.7 or something. I'll probably spade that within like 5 matches and forget it even exists in the game. So for the USSR, we get the BTR. The BTR is a very interesting vehicle because it was a vehicle that was going to come in at like 5.7, I believe, and now it's coming in at 7.3. I think this thing is going to be a struggle because you got to think about it, right? At 7.0, 7.3 in that BR bracket, you can't really pin a ton of stuff. I mean, if you see like a Leopard 1, you'll be able to pin it, but if you see stuff like, for example, with like Sweden and Israel now, where they have the same exact tanks as used with T-54s, like this thing is going to be very hard to actually kill, stuff like Conquerors and all that sort of stuff, especially from the front. And it doesn't have a stabilizer, so you're basically just going to be going around a map being a passive scout. So, I mean, it does give, Russia something to scout with, But at the same time, why would you not want to take out like the Object 906 instead of this thing? So it'd be pretty interesting. I believe it should get its APFSDS and probably stay at the same BR. I know it was a big problem. People didn't want to play with like Tigers and stuff, but I think it would have been pretty interesting to face M18 Hellcats in the BTR. Would have been pretty cool. So now you get the Object 453, which is basically a T62, but a lot smaller. This is going to be one of my personal favorites of this update. I just think it's really cool. And the only really downside to it is the reload rate. And I feel like this vehicle is going to be pretty fun to play, but annoying at the same time because, you know, it is A3. You're going to see a lot of up tiers to like 9.3. And I don't know, it's going to be one of those very interesting vehicles within Warthunder. Great Britain, they're getting the South African vehicle, the SAR. Pretty cool. Going to spade it within like, 3 games and then be done with it and probably forget it ever existed in the game. And then they also get a premium, which is an Indian tank. And I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'll just mess it up. But it should be pretty cool. It's like a Vickers. I think it's like the Mark III that has the Heat FS or whatever it is. And you should be able to go around the map and do pretty well with it. I'm not going to personally get it. I feel like, Britons get a ton of premiums within that battle rating, like the Khalid and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like, it's a cool little premium, especially if you're Indian and you want to see representation in the game. So Japan is not getting their SPA, but they're getting another little car with the Type 87. This thing is pretty cool, actually, because it's stabilized, unlike the one that has the APFSDS, but it's not getting its APFSDS. So basically, this thing's going to be a little R3 going around the map. It's going to be pretty quick. It's going to want to, do the annoying thing where it might shoot out your barrel and then try to get around you and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, this thing was also going to be like 5.7, but it did get moved up to, I believe, 8.0, or it might be 7.7. I can't remember exactly on the dev server, but it should be pretty good. I feel like it's going to be way better than the BTR. And if it does face the BTR, this thing's going to own it because just of the stabilizer within the tank itself, or within the little car, I should say. For China, they're getting the ZTZ-88B. I've been playing the ZTZ-88A, and that thing is really good, actually. It feels like the premium, and it's just a better version. It feels very quick, goes around the map pretty well, and if I'm able to have 2 of these at the same BR of like 8.7, it should be pretty good within Warthunder. The only thing is it's a little bit of a copy paste, so hopefully they do folder them, just so you don't have to grind both of them if you don't want to. But to bolster the lineup of the 8.7 China, where China is already really good, really good to me. I think it is something that's very positive within Warthunder. The Object 211, or 211, so it's basically replacing the PT-76, but it is on one of the worst chassis in the game. I dislike that chassis within Warthunder. It's probably one of the worst KDs that I ever have. It has no gun depression. It has a very slow reload. And the only thing good about this one, I think it's going to be a pretty low BR with a very punchy gun. So maybe it does pretty well. It should also have a stabilizer, so it should be pretty well within Warthunder. Just again, I suffered with that thing, especially the one that only has the Heat FS at like 6.3. Italy is getting the Freccia, which is going to have the Spike missile. I really don't think this is going to be a very huge thing like within Warthunder. You're just going to get annoyed by it sometimes whenever a Freccia shoots a little spike and then you just get hit with it and you die. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's a very good thing to actually test it out within a nation like Italy, so you can kind of get a feel of it, of how it's going to be through other nations, which might get played a lot more, like the Puma for Germany. Now let's go on to France. So France is getting an AMX-30 with the 155 on it. This thing is pretty interesting because it has a bunch of features with it, being like the proximity shell. It also has a 50 cal, but the thing about it is it's a walking ammo rack, so you do have to worry about that. But this thing has a pretty low reload for like this type of cannon, but you should be able to go around the map just donking everything, shooting planes out of the air. And these vehicles are always very fun. Like the Japanese one, the Russian one, they're always really fun to play with in Warthunder. And it looks like going forward for every major update, there's at least one of these big old howitzers that's added to the game whenever it comes to Warthunder. Personally, though, I'd like to see some like World War II ones just to see how they might would do within the game. And, overall, it's going to be one of my favorite ones to play within this major update. Now, the big thing about France is that they're getting their first technical IFV within the game with the VBC 1 to MCT30. Explain that one to me, France people. I don't even know what the hell that means. But at the same time, it looks like a big old tank. It looks like a big old bus, and it's going to be pretty much an IFV. It's going to have the Bushmaster 25 on it, or I think it was the 30, might have been the 30. But whatever cannon it was, it should be pretty good. It's going to be, a lot of dead space within the tank. So, whenever you're shooting at it, you might just completely overpin it. And sometimes whenever you're, shooting your Heat FS at it, might not even do anything. It's kind of like the Class 3 PS. It's super huge. The thing about it is that it's coming as a premium. So it's a very huge thing for, France, especially since it's going to be like their first like top tier kind of IFV type thing. So, At the same time, I kind of agreed for it being a premium, but at the same time, I think it'd been cool to be in a tech tree because it is something that, should have been in a tech tree to me at least. But also, you got to think about it in this way. I don't think it's going to be a very good vehicle for people to have as a premium, but the thing about it is France, for the longest of time, their top tier premium has just been the AMX30, while every other nation has been getting, better and better top tier premiums. In my opinion, I don't think this is a good premium for someone very new at the game because it's a vehicle that you have to know weak spots for to be able to use the gun very effectively because it's a very small caliber gun. It's not like it's like a 76 where it can pin most things like the 2S38 or, stuff like that. It's going to be like a 30 mil. So you're going to know how to go for weak spots. It's going to hurt a lot of players, and it's going to be something that I personally don't think should ever been a premium, but, Warthunder does Warthunder. So next we're going to look at Sweden. Sweden is coming in with the Sherman. Woo. Now every nation within Warthunder has at least one Sherman. So I guess we can kind of quit fighting about that at this point. I think it's going to be 3.3. Should be really good. Should be really good in that Panzer IV T-34 lineup, and we should see how it does. So for Israel, we're getting the MAGACHS Hydra. This thing is a pile of trash. I'm not even going to talk about it. Then we're also getting the MAGACHS 6B GAU, which is a squadron vehicle that is a MAGACHS. So it's also trash. And to be honest, squadron vehicles should have been unique. It's very sad of where squadron vehicles have actually went to because they're just top tier premiums in disguise, and some people just pay direct money for them. But it used to be very cool whenever squadron vehicles came into the game and you got cool stuff. You got cool stuff that was unique and also that it really, didn't hurt the meta of the game. Stuff like the Firecrest was a really good squadron vehicle. Stuff like the 262. It's supposed to give you like a taste within the tech tree itself, but now they're just top tier premiums in disguise. So yeah, not a big, huge surprise, to be honest. So let's look at the aircraft. F-14, Tom Cruise jet coming in. Woo. I mean, it's just an F-14. I don't feel like the hype is there for that thing anymore. We're getting a little, BF2C, whatever thing is. Is that it's the reserve for America, isn't it? It's the GosHawk. Pretty cool little biplane. Should help people at the lower tiers probably play out like 3 games and get spaded and never touched again. So then we're also getting the Su22 M4 for Germany. It's an Su-17. I mean, I don't really ever see those out and about. I personally never played it. I've heard that it's a struggle because you barely get any flares and you get shot with AIM-9Ls. So I guess it's pretty fun to play. Now, the 2 big things that's actually come in this update is the Su-25T and the Su-39. Su-39 is a disgrace. It should have never been a premium. I don't know why this thing is being, put in as a premium. I guess because, people bought a bunch of the other Su-25. But at the same time, this is going to be a premium that has a bunch of bells and whistles, but it's going to suck, whatever you put it into. It's going to get whacked by, SPAs. It's going to get whacked by air-to-air missiles. And the only thing that has going for it is it has the Vickers missiles, which are also getting nerfed within the next major update. So they're not going to be as strong. So I'm very concerned about this plane because I feel like it's going to be a plane that slowly just goes down in BR over the years. And it's going to be a plane that, somehow sees, 8.7s or some shit whenever it comes at the end of the day for, this plane. Not really thinking it'll ever go down that far, to be honest. But at the same time, it's not going to be great at whatever it tries to do within the game, which is kind of sad, in my opinion. So, Great Britain, they're getting the model. Woo. China's getting the JF, which is a very interesting plane because it's coming in with the Python 3s. And I guess we'll talk about Israel at this point, too. They're also getting the Python 3s for their F-16, their F4E with the 2000 or whatever it does. And they're also getting it for some of the Kafirs, which is pretty cool. But end of the day, it's just going to be one of those mega missiles, which, unless you have flares or don't have flares, you're always going to get hit by them. I'm assuming this is going to be one of those missiles that also avoids flares, so it's going to be kind of annoying. And it's a reason, for me at least, I don't really like playing jets, because at the end of the day, whenever you have, stuff that is just made to counters because war isn't fair, you're just going to have a very bad gameplay experience. I mean, if these missiles, work and like you turn off your engine, like you go off your afterburner, you turn it down a little bit so you're not as hot, and you're dumping flares and it still hits you, I mean, it's still going to be a very annoying within Warthunder, but we'll have to see how these missiles do within the game. They're pretty cool. The JF is going to have the head-mounted display, so it should be the best thing with the Pythons whenever it comes to Warthunder. I don't believe any of the Israeli stuff has it. But the cool thing about the Israeli stuff, especially with the Kafirs, is that you can use the gun radar for some reason to lock on with your air missile, which is actually pretty cool sometimes. Okay, so let's look at Italy. They're getting another Torbado, or a Tornado. So that should be pretty cool. Heard that thing's getting a new radar. I haven't heard anything else about it. So yeah, cool. So France is getting a Mirage, a Lancaster, and a PBY. All these things are the same, except for the Lancaster doesn't get its big bomb. And also the Mirage 2000 has the cool little guided bomb thing, which is pretty cool. I thought it was actually pretty cool, to be honest. All right, so Sweden gets the AJ30S. or the AJS37, I mean. Cool, another Viggen. Gonna be one of those things that does some ground attacking and should get, pretty good, kills, I guess. Like Sweden, like the one thing that kind of they've never had is like a ground attacker, and I don't think they ever will until the big thing comes in and some major update. But yeah, it should be pretty cool to play. And I do think Sweden needs some more ground attacking aircraft. So yeah, the naval vehicles, I don't care, to be honest. But let's talk about the cool things that's actually coming with this major update. So a bunch of, stuff for graphics is getting changed. Shell impacts, we're having stuff to air-to-air missiles, stuff to, make them look cooler and all that sort of stuff. I believe some, ATGMs are now getting their wires. And the big thing about it is that's the part of the update that kind of intrigues me the most, because there's just a ton of stuff that is just getting minor changes that actually affect the game like a ton. Like the ATGM change, for example, they're making the ATGMs more realistic. Some of them feel better, some of them feel worse. And the thing about it is, in my opinion, it's going to be one of those things that probably makes some of these ATGM carriers that are, at the battle ratings of 8.0 to, 9.7, somewhere in there, actually start to go down in BR because their ATGM just got nerfed and they're not as strong, especially the tows. Like the tows, you can actually maneuver them just so much where they just fall out of the air now within a dev server, where they just lose all their energy and you can't really do nothing with them. So we have to see how that sort of stuff goes. I'm very optimistic about this change because it does affect SAMs, it does affect air-to-air missiles whenever it comes to helicopters and all that sort of stuff. But the thing about it is, I really never had a problem with the helicopter missiles. You only had really the K50 that was a problem with the Vickers missiles. But at the end of the day, the problem with helicopters is that they just don't die. Like you can hit them with, APFSDSs, you can hit them with HESH shells. I've even hit them with that and they don't die. And the thing about it is, if the damage model of helicopters just worked, it would be a lot better to, face them within Warthunder. And hopefully that's something that they're working on. Having the tow missile be super realistic in the aircraft or in the helicopters isn't something that I personally wanted. But at the end of the day, I mean, I guess it's going to, nerf a lot of things within the game. Maybe it is a different experience. The only thing about it is that I always thought the ATGM vehicles within Warthunder have always been, the underdogs of whatever BR that they're put at. The ATGM, it does have to take time to travel to target, while an APFSDS traveling, at 1,000 meters a second is going to get there way quicker. So, I mean, it's a trade-off. You have a thing that pretty much will always hit the target every single time, or you have something that travels super quickly that, maybe, would get there before an ATGM vehicle has time to actually shoot you. So yeah, that's my thoughts about this major update whenever it comes to Warthunder. I know this video is kind of long, but, I'm kind of bored. I wish the update came out this week so we could already be playing it. But yeah, overall, I'm kind of excited about the major update. I don't think that it's a huge update to the game whenever it comes to vehicle-wise. There's nothing that's just screaming, hey, I need to play this, or hey, this is going to be the new meta or something like that. But there is a ton of changes that probably are going to affect the game going forward that are just minor. So what are your guys' favorite things within this update? Leave them in the comments. And also, I'll see you guys in the next Warthunder video.